So the other day at Goodwill, I found this Pentium system featuring a floppy drive and a CD-ROM drive. I had been looking through the bins and just saw the outer metal shell, which is always a good sign when you see some beige floating in the piles of trash. For those who are unaware, some of the Goodwill locations in my area put out bulk items in large bins, and you just dig through. This is often the last stop before things are thrown out and disposed of. You can often get really amazing deals on retro tech here, as they charge by the pound, and electronic items are only charged at 70 cents a pound. So I continued looking and found the full system. Luckily, the only thing it's missing is a CPU, which I happen to have a Pentium 200 MMX CPU, which I'll be testing out in this machine. But it is a fully stocked system with memory and a hard drive, which is unusual to find in these systems. So now that we've got the machine opened up, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the components inside and see what we got. First off, we've got the hard drive here on a sled. So let's get this pulled out. So we've got a Seagate model ST3491A, and I can see 428.1 megabytes. This actually reminds me of the first hard drive I had in a 486. In my first PC I built myself was a Seagate with this same design. I believe it was 107 megabytes. First component there. Let's take a look at one of these memory modules. Let's see what we got. Got the nice metal tabs on there. So we've got a 4x36. I believe this should be a 16 megabyte. The other one looks to be identical, so probably have 32 in the system. Next up, let's take a look at the video card. So we've got an ATI Mach 64 with, it looks like, 2 megabytes of video RAM, 1995 ATI on the card there. No other details beyond Mach 64. I believe there's a number of different models of this card, or that chipset, I should say. Next up, we have an ISA sound card. Looks like a Opti branded, and an 1817 SL/DSL card with our speaker, line-in, microphone, game port, wavetable header there. We've got connectors for the 2 different CD-ROM audio standards there. And finally, we've got a modem, ISA. We've got some Intel, WinBond, even Cirrus Logic. Just a modem we got there. Probably a 33 or possibly 56K at that point. And then, as I mentioned, there was no CPU installed. But I do have a Pentium MMX 200 that I'm going to go ahead and install to see if the machine will boot. And I think that's about everything we've got from in here. Since we've got all the cards out of the machine, I thought I would go ahead and give the detachable board tray a try here, just to see how that functions. So that is pretty handy. Looks like You probably would need to disconnect the power and possibly some of these serial connections, but it does give you good access to get in there and access the board. And if you disconnect all the peripherals there, you can pull it fully out for easy work on jumpers or anything else you need to do on the board itself. And we're ready for the moment of truth. There we go. Looking okay, but no postcode. Hard drive spun up. There we go. And it looks like it's 32 megs of RAM. Pentium MMX 200, so we're good there. Floppy disk fail, that's expected because I don't have it plugged in. F1 to continue. Sees the primary disk, 428, and there we go, Windows 98. Not looking great on the video card there. Let's do normal. Not sure if that's a video card issue. That weird shifted image there we're seeing on the lower portion. We'll see once we get into Windows. I don't have a mouse hooked up at the moment, so we'll have to I'm seeing kind of a weird like rolling pattern. That could be a scaling issue on the monitor, but we'll know in a second here. Possibly something with the cable I'm using too. It's an untested VGA cable I just had laying around. So we can try another cable as well, though that doesn't seem likely. So pretty clean image there. That's looking good. No distortion. Possibly corrupted image on that Windows boot up screen. Let's go ahead and just continue into Windows. I think this was obviously a child's PC at some point. With the cow Windows paint bitmap image on the background there. Looks like they've got one of the themes that Windows had with the propeller loading icon. We'll let this continue here. Interesting. So Tatung CM. Oh, that would have been the monitor that they had previously. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to come back when I've got a mouse plugged in. We'll go ahead and just do 640 by 480 high color. Apply. Clock. That's kind of crazy. So the it has the correct year and day. I guess the CMOS battery must still be good. That's kind of crazy. All right, I guess that's not too unexpected with the if the battery's intact. So I'm going to go ahead and get this booted up. Actually, I'm going to shut it down, get a mouse plugged in, and we'll be right back. Okay, so I was able to get a PS2 Microsoft mouse working on the system. Ended up having to install a PS2 connector onto the connector on the motherboard that this board has. So I thought I'd just do first a quick little look through of what we've got installed on the system. Doesn't look like they had a whole lot on here. Like I said, from the background, it looks like it maybe was a near the end, probably used as a kid's computer. We do have America Online. Let's go ahead and see what we got here. And I'll cover up their username. Yeah, so there's the AOL login screen. Obviously, I'm not going to dial in, both because I don't have an account and don't actually have a landline at the moment. But there's a little bit of nostalgia there for America Online. What else do we got? One thing I noticed in their documents, there's a number of images. Okay, so we've got somebody's name, Amy, here. We'll go ahead and open up each of these just so we can take a look. So, somebody's budding art career here. Here's the cow image that they were using as the desktop background. Some of the more interesting ones that I thought were kind of cool. There's a supersonic. We've got a Triforce. And this Pink Pigs one was fairly well done for a Microsoft Paint drawing. So not a whole lot there. What else do we got? There were some text documents. I looked in those. Nothing really interesting to show in there. There was on the desktop an interesting, this HTML file. Is actually the guitar tabs for, I guess, a movie Crossroads with the actor from The Karate Kid. I looked up. I've never actually seen the movie, but I guess he's like a blues guitar playing kid that's showing off his skills, and this is the kind of one of the main songs in the from the movie there. So I thought that was kind of an interesting find. There was like some software for like medical patient stuff, but I don't see any actual data in these, and it is just the demo version. So maybe somebody was trying to use this computer for like an office PC. I guess that could explain some of the kids' drawings, maybe during the day, hanging out at their parents' work, doing some Windows Paint doodles. So in any case, my plan is to, because the machine does appear to be working, I'm going to go ahead and clean it up at this point, get everything all set up nice, and then we'll come back at the end and do some quick benchmarks and play some games. So I've got the machine all cleaned up pretty nice. There's a few minor scratches and scuffs, but overall I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I end up having to swap out the CD-ROM as the other one didn't seem to be working. Could be a belt or something else I got to swap out, but I did get this one in there, and everything seems to be working. So I thought we'd just run through some quick benchmarks here and see what this machine can do. Let's start with the speed mark. One thing to note is that it looks like the BIOS in this machine is failing the year 2000 bug. So I'm going to have to see if there's a updated BIOS I can drop in there. Not that it matters for most of the stuff I'll be doing. So there's all our results. We're at looks like 150.76 for our overall speed. So below a 233 megahertz, but about what you'd expect for a Pentium 200 MMX, which is what we've got in there. I'm not going to run through all the individual results for our memory, but you can see the results there, as well as our Visa memory speed and memory bandwidth at looks like 166.4 megabytes per second. So let's go ahead and check out some other results. I'm not going to run through everything, but let's do our PC player benchmark at, let's try 640 by 480. And we're getting 18.8 for the results there. Let's do a Doom with max details. And the results there, we have 2134 game ticks and 974 real ticks. I'll put the math on the screen for the actual FPS on that. But as you could see, it was perfectly smooth, which you would expect with a Pentium 200. And then finally, I'm just going to do the Quake. We'll do the base resolution first. So we ended up with a pretty respectable 38.4 FPS at the lowest resolution. Certainly very playable on this machine. So benchmarks are great, but let's see how some actual games perform on this machine. I'm going to start with something pretty easy. Wolfenstein 3D, which of course is going to run great on this machine, but I wanted to test out our sound card compatibility.
Reinforcements have arrived. New construction options. Building.
One thing that I didn't notice until the actually filming of this video at the very end was that a case that a local friend had given me only a few weeks ago is actually the same style as this case. The one that I was given was a full tower, while this is a mini tower case. But as you can see from the buttons and styling, it's probably the same manufacturer. I just thought that was an interesting coincidence. That wraps up our look at this Pentium era machine. While it's not a gaming powerhouse and containing mostly generic parts, I still think it's a pretty good find. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'm hoping to improve my setup as I go along with VGA capture and some other improvements. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.